Chapter 15 is entitled Wave Motion, and this chapter is going to be important because it builds on many topics that we will be discussing later on in the semester, and will apply to not only physical waves but electrical waves. Many of the properties that we talk about are going to be you're going to find a lot of the same relationships. So we'll talk about wave motion. And along with wave motion, how we view particles, little particles of the waves, whether it be in strings or compressed gases. We'll talk a little bit about those types of waves. We're going to talk about their characteristics. We're going to talk about energy. We'll get into isotropic mediums. And how waves propagate. And we'll also talk about point sources when we talk about isotropic medium. We'll get into the equation, how the forms of the equations are set up, and how we use them in solving problems. We'll also talk about the wave equation. This is going to be an important topic because one of your labs is based on this discussion. So you will need to understand the wave equation and what it means. We have the principle of superposition. We've talked about superposition before. We'll talk about how superposition works with waves and what it means. And with superposition, we'll talk about how superposition breaks when we have dispersion. And how do we get around dispersion? How can we deal with it? This is a real life problem that you may have to deal with in your engineering field. There's reflection and transmission. Interference. And standing waves. And resonance. So these are the topics that we're going to be discussing. It's quite a number of topics, but these, as I said, these topics will carry us through many of the other chapters as we go through and relate different phenomena. We'll be relating that back to wave motion.